Today on Security Focus, I will be speaking with Mr. Charles Roberts, a noted security practitioner and investigator of many years. Mr. Roberts, welcome to Security Focus.
Thanks for having me.
Today, I wanted to invite you to speak on some of the things you've observed over the many years and what you believe we need to do to set the stage for 2020 for soil.
As we all know, security is everybody's business. And when you're involved in this type or this nature of profession, your first and foremost is discipline. And the cause for the lack of and breach of comes from persons not adhering to simple instructions or what they ought to do.
If I may interject, only yesterday I was telling a practitioner guns and dogs and CCTV is not the thing. Policy and procedures and the adherence of those things is what get the job done. Continue.
You're absolutely correct. I could remember during the 1978-79, I was a young pioneer in national service. And the best came out of persons from different backgrounds being in those type of services. It groomed persons for what we're speaking of today.
Yeah.
With the discipline being implied or enforced, it caused persons to be better. Because you knew if you failed to adhere,
Consequence.
the consequences was there as a deterrent. So basically, persons just apply themselves in what they had to do, and we had good people going on.
So, before we continue, as you started off talking about the national service, I would like to share for the viewers' benefit some of my days and experiences in the national service. When I travel internationally and I say to people, I was a member of the Ghana National Service, I said, what is the National Service? And I would tell them. And I said I was based at the Papaya Training Center and we were in close proximity to the People's Temple settlement. And we would have ventured in there time in, time out, play games, and interacted with them and so. And they will say, People's Temple, oh, come, tell us all that you know. Tell us all that you know about the People's Temple. Tell us what went on there. Why were you not killed? And did you have any colleagues that lost their lives in there? And so forth. And I would say to them that I enjoyed being in the national service. I enjoyed living on a militarized base, being in that sort of environment. You wake up in the morning, it's a control environment. They tell you when to go to bed, they turn off the lights at a particular time, you wake up at a particular time. And it was a kind of big brother, big sister environment. Very, very clean. And I wonder until today, I cannot recall being bitten at Papaya on our base. Cannot recall being bitten by the amount of mosquitoes that bites me regularly in Georgetown. Truly.
Food for thought.
Yes, and so, it was very nice being in that environment, if you may.
Yes. We would say the father is the head of the home.
Mm.
Father is DAD. What needs to apply is discipline, application with some determination. And we spell the word that.
Yes.
And we
Discipline, application
application
with some
with some
determination.
determination.
Hmm.
And we will step up
Yeah.
because basically in most of the environment, working environment in the private security service, and you look around, it is there for you to see lack of discipline. I could remember we had a way that we want to see who is the neatest person
Hmm.
because our dress and carriage will take us miles ahead.
Yeah.
So it was something was within you.
Yeah.
Now persons dress representing an organization,
Yes.
and sometimes I feel hurt knowing where I came from because when you look at them, they're not truly representing that organization, even with the uniform.
You know, one of the things I think the a good thing that the government has brought into being is this training college to groom cadets for public service. I think it is a very good thing. I was told something by a friend, and I hope for my sake it was meant to be a joke. He said shortly after APLU came into power, there was an incident at the ministry that is now known as the Ministry of Infrastructure, where a young woman took the dress down code to the max and came to work a Friday with the tights, the thinnest one you can find, and a body fitting jersey, and turned up in the people's office. And no one could speak to her. And about 3 months after, we heard about the coming into being of this uh,
Training.
training program for workers and so cadets within the government system and so forth. And so I welcome it. It is a really good effort to bring back that sartorial elegance, that dress code, and the importance being placed on presenting yourself professionally in
Well,
the work environment.
well, we were pioneers then in the national service. Apparently, this young lady would have been the pioneer to cause this program to come on stream. So, kudos to her because
Oh
it
boy.
is needed.
Yeah.
It is needed. And you have to be a true representative of any organization that you come under its banner.
Yeah.
In terms, as I mentioned, how you dress, you must be proud,
Yes.
obedient,
Yeah.
and alert. So all the focuses will go towards other aspect of the organization because we have mannerly people, we have trained personnel. So now we can depend on you because there comes your determination. So we can depend on you to do what is required of.
Tell me something. You were at one time a training instructor. What or how do you characterize the person's well, you've said so much about the pioneers and the reps of old, but have you interacted in the same way with persons coming into your organization? What is your take on the manner in which they present themselves?
Training always remain the same because you have a manual. It's practical or general knowledge of what is required that is in the manual. The thing that have the problem is people.
Yes.
And if We are not proud of what we do.
Yes.
And we're just in the profession. For example, I am working a shift. It's 8 hours, but I am required to remain for an hour because of an emergency. Now, because of my training I would have acquired in the past, I will never ask, how much would I be paid for that hour? I would never ask that
Yeah.
because I know the importance. And if I let the system down at that point in time, when they really needed me,
Yes.
then I cannot deem myself as a true professional or a real member of a security deployment. I would have been privileged to work out of Guyana,
Yes.
and I would have seen and known that the services out there puts all what I would have seen here
To the
into one
test.
to the
Yeah, in
test.
perspective. Yes.
Now, as an ordinary security service, they would have had their arms section, baton section, CIT or cash in transit as we would call it. They have their K9 section. All the sections required and necessary to respond to any security
Eventuality.
eventualities
Yeah.
or breaches,
Yeah.
they are equipped.
Yeah.
So I was proud because that is what I love doing. That is why I continue doing it to this age. And you would have had persons going the extra mile. And as I mentioned earlier, they don't ask you anything about that. And when you do those things, you encourage your employer to say, listen, these ranks or persons that I'm having here, they're dedicated to my service. I wouldn't feel it would burden me to give them a raise or an incentive.
Boy, yes.
You would have
Yes.
created that pattern
environment, yes.
of incentive.
Psychological
Yes,
state
for
that, for the
yourself
incentive.
and for the benefit of others by just you doing what is required of you.
I tell you what, we will take a break, and when we return, we will speak about some of your experiences in Barbados. Stay tuned. Security Focus is brought to you by Regium International, Northwest Investment Inc., IntelliGuard Specialist Security Services, and the Institute of Security and Public Safety. Welcome back. I would like us to touch a little on your experiences in Barbados. And I'll tell you why, for the benefit of the viewers. I have always wondered why everything in Guyana is so long-winded. Why, for example, everything we do, you need so many managers, so many supervisors, so many meetings, and so forth. You, sometime in 1996, while resident in Barbados, came to Guyana and alerted me, so to speak, of an opening in Barbados, of a contract to train people at your security company, Securitech. You then sent Osborne Richards, who is the managing director of that company, to Guyana. And he recruited me to go to Barbados to do work for Securitech, and you at that time was a senior practitioner there. I cannot help but remember my interaction with the people at the Grantley Adams International Airport. I don't know if you know the whole story, but when I went into Barbados, it was a Friday morning, and I saw dogs being deployed at the airport. And I asked a customs officer, who is the security company that is
Providing
providing
that service.
these dogs? And he said, incidentally, the same company that hired you to come here, the name of the company that you put in the document, they're providing these dogs. And I says, okay, but I would have preferred something other than Akitas. End the story. Went to church this Saturday, and when your boss, I don't know if you're aware of the incident, of that scenario, but when your boss picked me up that Sunday, the new week, he said to me, we heard what you had to say at the airport, and we have decided to withdraw the dogs. We want you to come now with us to identify two new dogs to replace the two kittens at the airport. Were you aware of that situation at the dental?
Yes, because as the I was the senior supervisor there,
Okay,
and I had responsibilities over the other supervisors.
okay,
And for Barbados, about 80 something locations.
right. 80 something locations that
Locations,
company had.
yes,
Good.
in
Across
Barbados,
the island.
across the island. And they were doing a good job as it relates to what I knew of here.
Yeah.
But as I speak to the managers, Mr. Richards and Miss Price, I told them, I said, I know someone who would put these things because they were complaining over some of the canine. And I said, you need not complain. We have the resources in Guyana. All you need to do. And he said, well, if you know there's resources, point me in the direction.
Good. So you came to Ghana.
Well,
and
actually,
then,
they sent me.
oh, they sent you to Ghana to get me. Oh, I thought you came home
No, they
on a
sent
holiday.
me.
Okay, they sent you.
They sent me to
Scout.
get them the resources that I
Okay,
spoke about.
okay. Yes.
So did I,
Yes.
and the job was done. But what I like about this service, when they are going to post persons or get persons to the location, they have a backup system. That if you leave your headquarters to go out or to relieve somebody, they have 3 or 4 persons in a bus doing the trail. So you won't have an opportunity to work beyond your normal call of duty.
Okay.
And that is why persons goes to work and stay to work, and most obviously they're handsomely paid, so they don't want to lose out. But they go to work knowing that, look, I will not be working 12 hours.
One of the things I recognized immediately when we were interviewing a batch of guards, I was pleasantly surprised that persons such as Cadell had 10 and 12 subjects of CXC. And there was a girl also, can't remember, stout girl, means it was a long time, we're talking 1996.
Yes.
But I remember this girl, I think her name was Ambrose and Cadell. And they had something like, she had about 10 subjects CXC, Cadell had about 12 subjects CXC. And there were others who had between 6 and 8 subjects CXC. And so I found that security guards in Barbados were very educated.
Yes.
Quite unlike Guyana. I found that then.
What it turned out to be here, really, and on most occasions, if you follow the trend, if we don't have anything else to do, we become a security guard.
Yes.
And
yes,
that
is-
hurts the industry.
Yes, that is so true. Yes.
And my take on it, it's time that, you made a point about looking forward to 2020. I personally would like to see an institution set up, and all those companies that have private security have them go to that body, have them train there, and return to their respective company.
Good. You know, in I am glad you made that point. The manner in which our security legislation is set out hints in a very remote way at that. But I've seen in the more professional industries, you have security industry authority, you have lead bodies, security lead bodies, and so you will have a number of security companies that are authorized to teach, say, programs in CCTV, some that are authorized to teach programs in executive or close protection, some driving security, whatever province or aspect of security. They are specialized agencies authorized by that very lead body to provide that training. And it is, I think, at this juncture, very important that we go that route because many of the expatriates coming into the country, whether to provide business consultancy, what have you, they are not happy with the quality of whether it has to do with security management, security supervision, security services, quality of guards, you name it. And if we are to retain, I'm talking about Guyanese security companies, if we are to retain a fair share of work in that new dispensation, I think we ought to go that very route.
Yes, and it's not difficult. It's not much to do. My take on it is just the cooperation from the relevant institutions that has to deal with that. And you are a learned professional. You went. I know you went to as far as India to do programs. So I think at this juncture, the time has come then for this type of operation to be set it up, and all the security through the private security council or whatever they know well up. It is important for us in putting Guyana first. Security is tantamount to be most important because we're looking at protection of country, protection of people, protection of animals. So when you put all in a bracket, it starts with the protection of.
Yeah.
So we need to see an institution of that magnitude on Common Four, and the security services make themselves available and be part of that organization so they can put out persons to truly represent their organizations.
And something that happened while you were in Barbados speak to the importance of such an agency. While you were in Barbados, there was an incident that occurred. Uh, all right, I'll tell you what was told to me. I don't know what was told to you. I was at church, it was a Saturday, and I received a phone call on the church phone, and the gentleman introduced himself as a member of the Barbados Special Branch. I don't know anyone connected with the Barbados Special Branch. I did not give the special branch the number of the church or said to them that I go to this church. So I was pleasantly surprised that a member of the special branch was calling me. He was calling me to say that one of the guards employed by Securitech was at a detention center. And then I found out that the private security industry in Barbados at the time was providing custody assistance. You were protecting persons who were awaiting deportation from the island.
Correct.
I don't know where the facility was. You know where the facility was. I was never taken to the facility, even though you all protected the facility. And I went as a consultant to your company, but I was never taken there. The Barbados special branch officer said that he wanted me to know that one of your officers were compromised by a gentleman that you had there awaiting deportation to Somalia. He was suspected as being one of the guerrillas and lieutenant of General Hadid or Hadid, whatever the man's name was, the Somalian strongman
From
who had the
general,
whole
yes.
country in disarray at the time. He said that I must prepare myself and you all are going to collect me. And when I meet there, the special branch will be there. And that I think the last thing he said to me was that somehow it has reached a point where the gentleman in the cell or in the detention center was showing your rep a little album or some photographs of his family. And at some point in time, your rep reciprocated. And thereafter, the gentleman disappeared. And as I became involved, I learned that he was never seen on the island again. Your take on that situation?
Some persons fall prey to leniency. Um, you're protecting someone, they have a family, you have a family, but the ills that that person would have done would have caused them to be where they are. So basically, you having
5 minutes.
you're saying that this person doesn't deserve that. But if the person did not deserve to be in the detention center, he would not have been. There's for a reason. Now, he disappeared and they never saw him back or anything like that. Now, in Barbados, which is an island, a little rock, and persons hit the forest beach with a telephone that has credit that can call a boat owner, anybody can get off. Anybody gets off. So them saying that he disappeared, he was aided.
Okay.
He had to be aided.
And obviously, if he is an international guerrilla, this is a well-trained man. But I made that point for the benefit of the Guyanese viewership
Yes.
because Guyana is a big country and security officers very soon in this country will find themselves doing all sorts of things. We are doing things now that private security did not do. We are providing services that the private security industry did not provide over the many years past. And I believe that in order to provide that service credibly, in order to provide that service, those services in a professional manner, we need to go that very route. The professional route, have a professional agency, 1, 2, 3, set up across the industry to provide our guards, our supervisors, our security managers with timely information and training. But your concluding thoughts.
We're at a stage or at a crossroad now that Ghana is rapidly developing. Because of that, according to my news, the state had deployed soldiers to the border.
You're talking about recently.
Yes. Now, our take or stance, even though with the people's militia coming on stream, we will still be short.
Yeah.
I could remember we had a term used, every citizen a soldier.
1976, 78.
And if
He was militia.
if that would have been what was maintained, we would have been in a better position to now starting over. Anyhow, it's a good trend. But
Okay.
if our private security is so trained
Yes.
to fill the gap, to take care of those persons in areas like the towns and these areas, then we will have enough of the military to take care of the other side.
Well said.
But if we're lacking here, and the armed forces have to be here, and they cannot be two places at the same time, then we're selling ourselves short. So
Well,
I think the time has come for the industry to develop, and if we put that new dispensation or mechanism in place, and the earlier is always the better, using the persons who have the knowledge, the know-how to do these things, because it doesn't make sense. You want to put something like that on stream, and I call my friend and said, look, I want you to run this program.
yeah.
It wouldn't work
Yes.
because he doesn't have the know-how,
Yeah,
clout,
the
or
prerequisite-
knowledge
Yes.
of what is to be done and its reason.
Well, well said. Charles Roberts, investigator of old. How many years you have in the security industry?
37 years.
Boy, you've done virtually nothing else.
I've been there and done that. That's the love of my life,
My friend,
apart from my family.
has been a pleasure having you in Security
Thank you
Focus.
for having me.
This has been another episode of Security Focus. Thank you for watching.